What to say? Another 3 points, another 5 goals at St James's. Your reaction to that stunning Newcastle performance?
Yeah, I think I sort of spoke the other day about building on the recent results. Today was a perfect example of that. Great result the other day, and we knew it was going to be a test tonight. I think first half we started the game so well, got a comfortable lead, and then second half it can be difficult. You want to apply yourself right and make sure you don't sort of drop off and let them back in the game, and I thought we did that. It's a great result.
Jacob Murphy got it up and running. A goal and an assist for him. There's a petition doing the rounds on social media amongst fans. They say they want him to have an England call-up. He's in some form though, isn't he, at the minute?
He's playing unbelievable. He's such a character in the changing room, and deserves all the success he's getting on the pitch at the minute. So I'm joining the petition. He's in great form.
Talk to me about you. I mean, you're in fantastic form yourself. 4 goals in the last 5 games as well. Another goal. We can drop that super sub comment, can't we? How pleased are you with this form you're in?
Yeah, no, really happy. When I'm out on the pitch, I just want to help the team, be contributing in whatever way that is. As an attacker, your job is to score goals, create goals, and help the team win. And I'm doing that at the minute, so yeah, really pleased.
Jason said on Sunday that performance was there to try and make the manager, Eddie Howe, proud. Have you heard anything from Eddie, and how proud do you think he would be of this performance tonight?
No, we haven't heard much, to be honest. I know he's recovering, and I think he's sort of heading the right way, which is great news. I think a few of the lads have exchanged a few messages and whatnot, but we're sort of just focusing on our job, and I know sort of Jason's already said that, but we're just doing the task at hand and making sure we're doing him proud of the results, and today I'm sure he'll be happy with that one.
Absolutely, and Jason himself, he's doing a cracking job, isn't he?
He is, yeah, he is. 100% record at the minute, so he'll be happy. No, I think we're so well drilled throughout the year, almost week to week. We know our roles going into every game, so of course the gaffer not being here is a miss, but we're so well drilled in what we need to do and knowing our roles that we're almost going out there and it's second nature. So credit to the lads and obviously Jason as well for how well we're playing.
Well, 2 things from Harvey Barnes there. No doubt Eddie Howe will be watching on. We're feeling much better as he currently recovers from pneumonia, but also for Jason Tindall, who stepped into the breach, and what a start from his last 2 games.
Unbeaten, and as Harvey says, for Jason Tindall. But again, you can't speak highly enough of Eddie Howe, the job he's done, from day one since he moved to the football club, and all these, it nearly takes care of itself to a certain degree at the minute. The performances, the results, the goals. That's all the hard work, the hours, the days on end that Eddie Howe's put into this football club, and I think every Newcastle fan, they want a statue next. You hope he's getting better, because I think sometimes it's hit home how pressurised the manager's job is. It really does. He's obviously ill in hospital. The toll it takes, and we think it's all easy to manage a team and put them out on a Saturday, but again, the job he's done and the pressure of managing a Newcastle as a big club, expectations are really high as well. But there'll be no better feeling for Eddie Howe in his hospital bed tonight, seeing 5 goals, another clean sheet. I think it's 12 goals they've scored in the last 3 games. They're really on top form, and as you said it before the break, when he's hitting top form right at the key moment of the season.
How impressed were you with Newcastle?
Very impressed. I've been impressed with them for the majority of the season, to be fair. And again, everyone back fit and firing. You can bring on players like the Willock and that, and they're game changers, and Anthony Gordon as well. They look really strong. Full credit to Newcastle. Credit to Tindall, but Tindall's been with Eddie Howe, so I always feel, I know he says he hasn't spoke to him, but he knows Eddie Howe inside out. So
yeah, there'll always be a telemetry there between those 2, right?
Nothing will change there, but they've been fantastic. Me personally, Newcastle will finish in the Champions League spot. I know Newcastle fans are still worried.
Don't go too soon, Clinton. Don't go too soon.
No, I have to. I've got my passport.
You got it ready?
Yeah, no,
you coming next year? The question is, have you got your passport? I mean, how much is the job done now?
Well, it's not done. I mean, that'll be the message. I think tomorrow they'll come in for recovery, I'm sure. Prep for Saturday. Saturday's a massive game. Villa Park, away Aston Villa, they're challenging for Champions League football as well. It's always been a bogey ground for Newcastle. They've struggled there over the years for whatever reason. Yeah. And of course, Unai Emery, we know a brilliant job he's doing at Aston Villa as well. So I would even take a draw sitting here tonight at Villa Park. It's a tough game.
So 5 goals to get through from Newcastle's perspective. First one from Jacob Murphy. The big question is, Shay, did he mean it?
I was hoping we'd get a chance to speak to Jacob Murphy after the game and ask him that question, but we've seen Sandro Tonali score a similar goal a couple of weeks ago, and he says it was a 30% cross, I think, but we actually think if you keep an eye on Murphy, a couple of times he's had a look across the box. I don't know if he's looking at the goalkeeper or looking should he actually shoot here, but if you pause that exactly in that spot now 100 times, I don't think he scores out of 99 out of 100. That's one chance in the 100, I think. It's a phenomenal strike, don't get me wrong. The power and the pace, and that's what makes me think, I think he might mean this.
Yeah.
He might mean going across the keeper, and if the keeper saves it, it's... see there, he looks when he's twice. And I think maybe that's...
He's sizing it up.
Well, even from that angle, this shot's on, but it's a worldie from Jacob Murphy.
I've changed my mind. He did go for it. He meant it. Yeah, he meant it. You can see there, because I'm looking at him. He's had a look. There's no one really in the box like that. So he's trying to beat Dean Henderson. And he's maybe not to try and beat him on his near post, but it's a great strike.
Now, of course, Palace got themselves a penalty. That didn't quite go to plan. But Newcastle certainly made the most of it, because 97 seconds later, they went 2-0 up through a Mark Gahey own goal.
Yeah, it's brilliant from Joe Linton. I don't know why Richards comes out of his slot, but then Livramento plays it to Harvey Barnes, and Harvey Barnes was a consistent threat. He's unlucky, Mark Gahey. It's a difficult one. As I said, Eze should have scored the penalty, but you can see he does not have to come out, Richards, and then Livramento, he's been brilliant down that left-hand side. Good combination with Barnes, and look how much bodies Newcastle have in the box, and look how many Palace defenders are back in there. Mark Gahey tries his best. Unfortunate to get the own goal, but brilliant from Newcastle.
Another own goal from Gahey in this fixture, right?
Yeah.
It happened in the reverse game at Selhurst.
Yeah, he won't like to be reminded of that, that's for sure.
That's why I'm saying it to you and not to him.
Yeah.
So Harvey Barnes forcing, you could say, the goal there, but he got on the score sheet himself for the third.
Yeah, we've done a piece, didn't we, before the game. Harvey Barnes, he's a player in form, probably in form player in the Premier League, really. He's been absolutely brilliant. Again, we spoke before the game how quick he is, how direct he is, and how confident he is. And look at this. He's nothing else in his mind at this point, Manish, but I'm getting the shot off. You know, he does a quick step over, quick feet, and as I said at half-time, I think he hits it early as well. But look where his position, where he runs from. He's in a good defensive position from Newcastle, but then when he won the ball, he's like, right, I'm off. And there's nobody catching him, I think, at this point. Just slows the defender down, that just little shimmy. And for me, that's a brilliant finish. You see Henderson's reaction, the goalkeeper, he's raging probably with his defenders because they want him to get tighter when he closed the shot, but take nothing away from Harvey Barnes. What a great finish.
His fourth goal in 3 games, but the fellow who gave the assist, Sandro Tonali,
he's not bad either, is he?
He was high pressing right to the very end, but even the way he laid on that pass to Harvey Barnes, I know Barnes had a lot of work to do. You can just see the influence that he's got on this Newcastle side.
He's been outstanding, to be fair. Since they've changed him and put him as number 6, I think he's been brilliant. And Bruno can push on and play further ahead. But I think, as I said, that midfield 3, tell me a better midfield 3 in the Premier League at the moment. No chance. And Tonali's been brilliant, outstanding. He presses, he does ever so well. And that's a great little reverse ball as well. And they're in fantastic form. Keep them fit, they'll be fine.
Yeah, right towards the end of that first half, Newcastle still had time to get themselves a 4th through Fabian Schär. What about the delivery?
Well, again, it's a great set play routine whenever we only dress it up. Trippier just knocks it back to Murphy. And you're right, Manish. What about the delivery? I mean, it's a brilliant header from Schär. Yes, the defending has to be better. Someone has to be picking him up from a Crystal Palace point of view. But we know Tyndall, actually, obviously, he's in charge at the minute, but I think he works heavily on set plays as well. It's really well worked. Maybe that just little touch from Trippier to Murphy just makes Palace drop off that couple of yards and gives Schär loads of space, and it's a brilliant delivery and a great header.
Yeah, into the second half. Before we get to the 5th goal, what was interesting from Palace's point of view, 56 minutes on the clock, Eze, Mateta, Hughes all substituted. I mean, was that already Glasner showing, I've got an eye on Bournemouth already?
Yeah, you have to. The game's over. You're not scoring 5 goals to win the game at St James's Park. No chance. Not how Newcastle are playing at the moment. Absolutely zero chance. So it was the right decision. And I think just give the other players that have just coming back, like Nketiah and that, and bring on Adam Wharton, give him half an hour, ready for the weekend against Bournemouth. It's another big game. You don't want to keep losing games going into the FA Cup semi-final. So it was the right decision from Glasner.
Yeah. Isak had a few chances on another day, actually, Shay. He could have been celebrating a hat-trick tonight, but he only managed 1.
Yeah.
But what a finish from him.
It's a brilliant finish, and what I do like as well is the press, how he's got to it. I think Palace are trying to overplay this position. You know, it's a ball into the centre half, and brilliant press from Joe Linton. But when it comes to Alexander Isak, he's got nothing else in his mind but take the shot on early, and I think that's probably why it finds the bottom corner. But you see, like, I think it's a Wharton pointing at Manish to get forward. But again, you know, we love teams playing off the back. We love playing through the thirds. But I think here at this point, you know, can he maybe spin it around the corner and play it higher up the pitch? Because you can see Newcastle are swarming all over them, Manish. You know, Joe Linton, brilliant press from him, gets a brilliant touch. And at this stage, you know, a striker not full of confidence will take a touch, bring it further into the box. But this is one of the best strikers in world football. And he knows exactly, see, before he even gets to the ball, he knows what he's going to do. And it's a brilliant finish. What a finish from Isak.
For me, he's my favourite player in world football at the moment.
Is he?
Centre forward, he's the best. He's the best in the Premier League centre forward. All round with what he can do, that is a fantastic finish. I know he hasn't been scoring recently. That didn't show he hasn't been scoring recently. That shows how good of a striker he is. It was the most difficult chance he had all evening, and he made it look so easy.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Is that more a reflection of his talents more than anything?
Oh, he's brilliant. He's got so much talent, to be fair. A lot of people said he hasn't been at the races because he played a lot of football and had a few injuries, but I think he's a fantastic striker. He's got everything. That's why I want Newcastle to finish in Champions League. If they do, I think they keep hold of Isak. Well, I hope so.
Yeah. OK, well, look, in the end, huge win for Newcastle and their hopes of Champions League qualification for next season. So where are we in the race for those battling to finish in the top 5? So, look, they all have the same number of games to play, with that game in hand now done for Newcastle. They're in clearly the best position on 59 points. Forest on 57. And then you've got City in decent form, of course. Chelsea are hit or miss. Villa are in decent form. Where are we right now? Can you pick who's going to miss out at this stage?
Listen, I think Newcastle will get in there. I think Forest's fixtures are... There's no easy games in the Premier League, but I look at Forest's fixtures and I think they'll be quite happy with their fixtures. Man City, I think, will get in there. I do think Man City... I think it could be Chelsea and Villa that miss out. I think it go right down to the wire, but I think it could be Chelsea and Villa that miss out. But I'm not always right, so Villa fans, Chelsea fans, don't shout at the TV. I'm always right.
If anything, believe the opposite.
Exactly, there you go.
Shay?
Obviously, I hope Newcastle, my team, and I do think Man City will definitely, two of my old teams actually will definitely get in. The other one I think has got the best chance is Aston Villa. Yeah. Not because it's 3 of my old teams I'm looking at here now, but I've said for probably the last 6 or 7 weeks that I think Nottingham Forest might drop out, and I know Forest fans will be shouting at the TV because, I don't know, they've just gone through a bit of a tricky patch. We talk about Newcastle's timing their run brilliantly into their timing the opposite. They're having a really poor run right at the minute. I mean, to lose to Everton last week was a big blow, especially being at home as well. Tottenham away, you don't know what Tottenham's going to turn up, but again, you take each game as it comes, and Chelsea are going through a bit of a real sticky patch as well, Manish. So, if you had to say 3 out of that, I would go Newcastle, City and Aston Villa.
Well, if you believe your stats, according to Opta, Newcastle have a 91% chance of finishing in the top 5.
Is this a supercomputer or is this just...
I don't know. It's a good computer. It's a good computer. Villa have 26% chance of making the top.
That's about right.
Yeah?
I think at the moment, the way Newcastle are playing and the form they're in, I'd agree with that. As I said, Manish, there's still a lot of football to go.
Now, look, the last time Newcastle managed to finish in the top 3,
Shay was playing.
Don't know.
22 years ago.
Oh, wow, was it?
When you were a regular fixture in goal for the Magpies under Sir Bobby Robson.
Wasn't black and white TV, was it, or anything?
No, black and white shirts only.
That's all right then.
Yeah.
That was a good few years ago.
It's a long time
But again,
ago.
you do mention the second position as well. I'm sure that Eddie Howe and Jason Tyndall will be going, why not? You know, Arsenal maybe have one eye on the Champions League and maybe might rest a few in the Premier League. Why not go?
You sneered at that when I mentioned it.
I did sneer at it because I thought you were getting ahead of yourself, and maybe I'm getting ahead of myself now as well. Because
we're both getting ahead of ourselves.
No, but at the end of the day, we want Champions League, or Newcastle want Champions League football. That's the most important thing. Of course, they would snap your hands off if they get second. But even if you offered them after tonight's win, 5th, to get Champions League, they would snap your hands off as well.
So to put that into perspective, they're 4 points behind Arsenal right now. They've all played the same number of games. Arsenal, they've played 3 times, Newcastle, and beaten them in all 3 in all competitions. And they have to go to the Emirates, penultimate weekend. It could still be on, right?
Of course it could still
Newcastle
be on.
in second.
Because Arsenal looks like they're qualifying, getting through to the next stage of the Champions League. So they'll have their whole focus on that, trying to rest players. And Newcastle are concentrating on getting into the Champions League. That's all they've got to play for now. So, they definitely can do that. But after you saying that stat about Shay, you know he's not going to be able to get out of the studio because he's buzzing, aren't you?
No, I mean, again, I was lucky enough, not this season, but last season, watching Newcastle in the Champions League, going to Milan, going to Dortmund, going to Paris. You know, I was part of the sort of journey they were on. And you mentioned 20 years ago, whatever, but
22, yeah.
22, but it was like I was part of the journey nearly as a fan this time. You know, going into the square, watching all the fans before games, celebrating, and the journey that they go on that you don't see when you played in the Champions League yourself. So now if they get back in there, and I think it helps to strengthen the squad, gives them more financial power in the market, and it gives them that power to attract players as well. We've got Champions League football. Come join us. There'll be other clubs that won't have that, and all players, you know, Clinton wants to play in the Champions League. That's a big thing for them.
Are we seeing the benefit of a team in Newcastle with their confidence boosted by picking up that League Cup trophy?
Oh, 100%. And I think Newcastle in general would use that as a springboard.
Yeah.
That's the sort of, the pressure cooker of not winning a trophy for so many years, decades in fact. Now that's gone. Can we use that as a springboard for the next trophy to, compete at the very top? As I said this already, they want to win the Premier League. They want to win the Champions League. That's where this club want to go. I know it doesn't happen overnight, but slowly but surely they're building a squad of players that compete at the very top.
Now, we talk about Newcastle possibly pipping Arsenal to second in the Premier League. That's, of course, with Arsenal's current involvement in the Champions League dependent. And this is where we are right now, because we've got two games that are still being played. And that's where we're at with Arsenal, with that 3-0 lead, of course, after that incredible first leg at the Emirates against Real Madrid. At the Bernabeu, into the very much the closing stages, it's one apiece. So it was going to require something miraculous for Madrid to get anything out of that, but Arsenal, at all intents and purposes, going through to the semi-finals of the Champions League, while at the minute it looks like they'll be joined by Inter Milan. 2-2 so far between themselves and Bayern after that 4-3 initial result from the first leg. Right, well, that's it from us. My thanks to my two studio guests, Clinton Morrison, Shay Given. Loved your company as always. Certainly hope you have as well. All the plaudits to the high-flying Magpies as the Eagles have their wings clipped. Bye for now.